Hey everybody, we're back. If you viewed the previous video that I did on the Gilded Age time period, which we are entering, you know that there are two units that we'll cover during this period. The second one is going to be westernization and urbanization, but the first one is going to be industrialization. Industrialization in America. So I'm kind of a big picture kind of person, so I thought what I would do here is go over just several slides that will introduce some of the big ideas and themes and concepts that we will then be discussing throughout the course of this unit. And we'll also give you some of the ideas that the state says are important that we're going to need to know for next spring. All right, so let's just kind of jump right into it here. Industrialization in the United States in the late 19th and early 20th century was characterized by the rise of corporations and heavy industry, which transformed the American economy. Consequences of this transformation included the following. So let me just touch on each of these, and if you're taking notes or highlighting, I may give you a few key words or phrases that you might want to focus on because they will be kind of like the big picture ideas of things that we're going to need to know. So the first one says, one of the transformations included a shift from a predominance of agricultural workers to a predominance of factory workers. So again, if you're one who would like to take notes, you might want to focus on this word agricultural to factory, right? During this time period, we're going to see a movement away from doing work by hand on the farm to using machines in factories. In fact, that's one of the big picture ideas of the definition of the Industrial Revolution, right? Is a change from doing work by hand to doing work by machines. A second transformation that took place was a shift from rural living to urban living. So here it is, guys, rural to urban. That would be a major focus right here. Let me just highlight that again here. Rural to urban living, right? So we're going to, guys, we're entering the beginning stages of being a nation of farms to being a nation of cities. Rural living to urban living. A third change that took place is new technologies. New technologies, guys, I would highlight that. New technologies, we'll talk in further videos about what some of those new technologies and new inventions were and machines that led to machines that ultimately then replaced human labor. Another point of change was an increase in agricultural production due to mechanized farming, guys. Again, maybe a word right here to highlight might be mechanized farming. The result of these new technologies and new machines led to mechanized farming, time-saving devices that allowed us to produce more crops, get better agricultural production, which then just allowed us to feed more people that were moving in cities and allow for population growth. It just goes on and on and on. So you might want to highlight that word, mechanized farming. And then the last point here, the development of the mechanized assembly line and mass production, guys. Wow. Well, we can go on and on about this, and we will in the future, But yeah, the advent of the assembly line, which then led to the mass production of products that then ultimately lowered the cost of these items for consumers, which then led to more ability to buy these products, which then led to more of a need to make these products. It just goes on and on and on. We'll get into more of that in future videos here. So, but those are some of the key ideas that I would highlight there, and be aware of that as we go through this unit. That you'll want to know. Technological innovations as we move on here. Some of the technological innovations that transformed the American economy in the late 19th and early 20th centuries included the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, right? The phonograph, incandescent light bulb, the washing machine. Of course, Thomas Edison, many of these inventions, right? The phonograph, the light bulb, inventions by Edison. Skyscraper, we'll get into Andrew Carnegie and his development of the steel industry, which then ultimately allowed us to build skyscrapers. The automobile, the airplane, right? Henry Ford with the automobile, the Wright brothers, airplane, early 1900s. So yeah, those are all some of the technological innovations. And of course, we could go on and on about just how those things have helped revolutionize America and continue up until this day. But yeah, those are a lot of the innovations. All those things that we use today really were developed during the period of the Gilded Age, right? Between 1877 and 1900, a lot of these things were coming into place. In our last slide here, guys, that we'll go over here, the rise of industrialization. Let me just read the first paragraph here. It says, the rise of industrialization in the United States in the late 19th and early 20th centuries increased the demand for workers. With this demand, immigrants came from other countries and Americans migrated from other parts of the United States to take jobs in industrial centers. A lot in that paragraph, guys. Let me just say this. There's going to be a huge influx of immigrants coming to America during this time period. We will talk more about that during the next unit on westernization and urbanization, so we'll kind of save that till then. But the migration of people from the south to the industrial north for jobs, internal migration, is also something that changed America a lot too, and we'll get into those shifting population patterns. The second paragraph there starts off with laissez-faire policies, guys. Laissez-faire policies, of course, laissez-faire just means hands-off approach by the government when it comes and related to business. But it says laissez-faire policies allowed the formation of monopolies and trust, right? Monopolies where one business takes complete ownership of an industry. And so monopolies and trusts were a big issue that developed in the late 1800s. We'll talk about some of the major players in those realms and some things that happened for business as a result of that. But this conflict between corporations and labor led to the growth of labor unions. Labor unions advocated for workplace reforms such as shorter workdays, increased pay, safer working conditions, and restrictions on child labor. So wow, there's a lot in that paragraph, guys. Labor unions, wow, I mean, labor unions just really begin to form during the Gilded Age. And quite honestly, early on, they weren't even legal. There was a time in this country where labor unions were outlawed. They weren't even legal. But they become legalized in the late 1800s. But there's going to be a process of growth, like anything, you guys. When there's change, there's going to be growing pains. And there's going to be a lot of growing pains with labor and management during the Gilded Age. So some of the tactics employed by labor unions to achieve their goals included collective bargaining, strikes, and boycotts. And it says labor organizations faced violent backlash from business owners that sometimes led to government intervention. So we'll get into the clash there between unions and business owners as well as we move through this unit. So there it is, guys. There are some of the big picture ideas on industrialization that we're going to be getting into over the next couple weeks. And I'll say this, you know, in a future course or a former course in my world history course, I did an entire unit on industrialization. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you can check that out. I have an entire unit posted there on industrialization. Of course, it focuses on the first industrial revolution, which took place in Great Britain. But on my YouTube channel, I actually do a comparison. In that unit, I do a comparison between the first and second industrial revolution. So you can go ahead and check that out if you'd like. It's just called the Industrial Revolution. I do a comparison there. In this unit, of course, since we're in U.S. history, we will focus on the second industrial revolution that took place in America, really after 1870. And really leading up to the beginning of World War I in 1914. So there you have it, guys. That's the beginning part, and I'm looking forward to it. And we will be getting after it over the next couple weeks and getting into how industry, the rise of industry, radically changed America. So I'll see you in future videos, okay? Bye for now.